The 3P. You've heard about the 3P in a very previous episode, and it was the 3P of depression. Like many of us perimenopausal and menopausal women, we suddenly experience depression. And like really suddenly, we've never been depressed. I mean, unless like everybody's depressed every now and then, but like real depression, many of us experience that and are suffering for that and are struggling for that and are trying to find help. And luckily some do, and many really don't. And if they do, they sometimes are treated with stuff which is not addressing the underlying cause. So the 3P of depression, listen to that other episode because it really is insightful. It's short form, ultra short form. It's physical changes, period changes, and past history. Not just your past history, but also your family's past history. Has there been past history of depression? If there is, it might be more likely that you too experience depression in your life. But together, these 3P really are very, very, very good. Neon bright, blinking, flickering, tingling, dancing neon signs telling you that your depression might not simply be because you're depressed, but might originate in perimenopause or menopause due to changes in your hormone levels, due to fluctuations, imbalances, and really your entire system is changing. It's rebooting. It's going to a different level. If we're thinking the transition from childhood, from teenager to adult was a big transition, it is just a big transition for us ladies to stop production, to stop being fertile, and produce babies and bring life to the world, but to change into another stage of our lives. So it is a huge transition. It's a huge, massive physiological, chemical, biological, mental, emotional transition which we're going through. And it's exciting, actually. I really, now that I'm out of my dark pit, I really find it exciting. I find it so interesting how everything is connected and which factor is influencing what. And I'm relieved to have found help for my depression. I wouldn't say I'm the ultra super jumpy Christmas cracker sparkly one. I'm not like that. I might be every now and again, but I'm not that person. I haven't in a way returned to being that person, if I ever was that person, but I'm far, very far from planet darkness. I see it on the radar, but it's very far away, really far away. Maybe not even on the radar, it's on other measurement device. So my depression, which was treated with antidepressants, or not antidepressants, it was treated with lithium because it was diagnosed as, oh, maybe you're bipolar because you're having ups and downs, hormone shifts and fluctuations. Anybody? So I was treated with bipolar medication. Did not work, and actually did not do good too. Gladly I skipped those early enough. I was treated with intense therapy. I mean, it was nice to speak to somebody, especially during a time where other things were not the best, also work-wise. But it's nice speaking to somebody, and it's nice having actual help. Speaking just about my past and my mom and my brother and my whatnot, I mean, it's not the first time I've done that. It's not, ooh, now I'm getting illuminated. And some of the insights which were reflected on me and shared upon were like, in hindsight, really weird. Like really weird. Just because somebody is a trained psychologist or psychiatrist, it doesn't mean that they can out-truth you. It's just not the case. So as happy as I was during that phase to have somebody to speak to, it was more like it was more like mommy cuddling me up at bed, but it was not providing relief for the underlying cause. So physical, period changes, past history. If these appear, it's likely that your depression is not originating in depression per se, but in perimenopause or menopause. Those are the 3Ps. Sorry, I wanted to keep this shorter, but it turned out longer. There's another 3Ps. And these 3Ps are with regard to insulin. Insulin. There's 3 P's during the phase of a woman's life, if she's lucky to live through them, where we are insulin insensitive, possibly even insulin resistant. And which are these phases? One we do share with the males, which is puberty. That's the first P, puberty. In that phase, we are to a degree insulin insensitive. And why is that? Because insulin tells our body to grow, 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 and how to utilize energy. And what do we do, especially during our teens? We grow. Our shape changes dramatically. Our mood changes dramatically. Our cognitive function increases massively. So there's huge, huge, huge changes in that transition. But after a certain age, let's say late teens, mostly for women, and 25-ish for many men, that's where that transition is done. It's done. We do not need to grow, 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 grow. I mean, how tall should we ever get? Many of us do continue to grow, but then it's more expanding and not really just growing. So that's a different kind of growth. So we are insulin insensitive during our teens, which is a really good thing. Otherwise, we wouldn't grow. Otherwise, we wouldn't become mature adults who can provide life and give life to another being. So that's really important for us to be insulin insensitive during that time, because otherwise our growth phase would not really kick in. So that's the first P of the 3 P regarding insulin. The second P, this is only for the ladies, at least for now. Biology is not there yet that it will be relevant for the men. Maybe they have another P, but don't know about that. Do your own research. The second P for the ladies is pregnancy. Yes, and also during pregnancy, it's so logical, we are insulin insensitive. And why is that? Because we're growing. It's not us we're growing a new life. And that new life needs to grow. And how does it grow best? When there's lots of insulin. And lots of insulin telling the cells to grow, 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 and really expand. Yet, too much of that can cause us to be in a diabetic stage during pregnancy, so that can be really dangerous, so it needs to be monitored. But generally, a certain degree of insulin insensitivity during pregnancy is desired, wanted, and good. Super, super healthy. So insulin insensitivity per se is not a health threat. It is health peligrous if it continues for a very, very, very long time, and when it's triggering growth, well, there should not be growth. So these are 2 P's, and these are 2 P's with regards to insulin insensitivity, which this marvelous expert, listen to him speak on the Diary of a CEO. It's so insightful. I mean, I often speak about the Diary of the CEO, and it's so insightful, and I mean it. And especially this episode, it was just, it was from having illumination from a candlestick to illumination of a full lighted massive arena. It was spotlight, spotlight, spotlight. So I can really recommend listen to that episode. And Benjamin spoke about those 2 P's, like puberty and pregnancy. And I believe there needs to be a 3rd P. Just as with the 3 P for depression, 3 P's are just better than 2 P's. 3 P's, and I believe the 3rd P is perimenopause. Because what do they have in common? Puberty, pregnancy, perimenopause. It is natural. Biological, chemical, physical. It is natural during perimenopause and beyond that we are developing a degree of insulin insensitivity. Listen to some other episodes, do your own research. There's lots of information why that is, what is causing it, and what that is then causing in the system. But we are developing a degree of insulin insensitivity during perimenopause. While in the other two stages, like the puberty and the pregnancy, that insulin insensitivity was good, 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 because we needed to grow in order to mature, and we needed to grow for our baby to be able to grow. So that was also very, very, very important, that we were growing and that the life within us could also be growing. But it's a different kind of soup, whatever, it's a different kind of topic with regard to perimenopause. During perimenopause and beyond, we do not need to grow. Like from child to teenager to adult, we do not grow like that. And we actually don't need to grow like that. Second, we're not growing a new life within our body. So what then would be growing within us? It could be fat cells. Not too bad per se, unless it's that's wrong. We're not growing new fat cells, but we're growing the size of the given fat cells. And if the fat cell is becoming too plump, too big, it can actually burst and be really toxic. But that takes a long time for a fat cell to just explode. But it can be that our fat cells are growing. It can also be that our disease-prone cells are growing, especially cancer cells, tumor cells, because they love glucose. And cancer per se loves to grow. Our healthy body loves to grow, to build, and to break down and repair, build and repair, like the yin-yang. It's a constant cycle of building and breaking down, building and breaking down. Cancer is a different thing. Cancer loves to grow until it takes over and kills the entire system. And we might look at that from a different perspective, like our economies. Is constant growth only the best? I don't know. I think constant growth is very disease prone, not just in our bodies, but also in our societies. But that's a really different topic, and that's a very different philosophical, ethical, moral, whatever stance you take, approach. But in our body, constant growth is not wanted. That's not how we're set up. And constant growth is happening in the cancer cells. So they are not programmed to just shut down and die. They are programmed to grow, and to take the energy from their environment, from their surroundings. And they love glucose. They flourish on glucose. I don't know. Maybe there's research on that. Maybe there's not research on that yet. Maybe there doesn't even need to be a research. I do not think that cancer cells can utilize other energy sources, like, for example, ketones or lactate. I believe, but again, this can be wrong, they prioritize and they love and thrive on glucose. So they're taking the glucose, they're sucking it up, and they are really good at doing that because they have very, very many insulin receptors. And again, insulin receptors, what do? What is the insulin receptors? Being able to receive the message from insulin in the cell tells the cell, open the gates, we can let the glucose in so that we can create energy and grow. That's what's happening. And if there's more, let's say, doorbells on the cell, it's more likely that they will get the message, that they will get the glucose. And the other cells surrounding it might not, because they might, instead of having 7 doorbells, they just have 1. And that 1 doorbell may even not be really loud enough, connected enough. So it's, instead of a clear signal, it's more like, and that was it. So the cell didn't even get the message. Whereas the cancer cells, they do get the message much more easily. And they grow. And that can be very dangerous. I mean, growth also is very good. We want growth in our bones, we want growth in our muscles, we want growth in our neural networks. We do want growth. So maybe, possibly, out of the 3 Ps, where usually the insulin insensitivity during puberty and during pregnancy was very beneficial. Possibly, studies, science, please provide an answer. I don't think there is yet. Possibly this insulin insensitivity during perimenopause also is beneficial, so that the destruction of our bones, of our muscles, of our neural networks, of our tissues and our blood vessels, etc., in our gut, that the destruction of that is not accelerated. I mean, with the hormonal fluctuations, with the lower levels of estrogen, with the increased levels of follicle stimulating hormone, if you've watched other episodes, you probably know by now, these cause our bones to break down. And possibly heightened levels of insulin, on the other hand, which is promoting growth per se, possibly, I don't know, that is a help mechanism within our body to limit the deconstruction of our bones, to limit the deconstruction of our muscle mass, to limit the deconstruction of the neural networks in our brain. Possibly. That would be really, really exciting. So then we actually have the beneficial 3P of insulin insensitivity. Currently, it's 2 where it's good that we're insulin insensitive, and the third one, perimenopause, it's not so good that we're insulin insensitive, because it's triggering many other things which are not so good. But maybe that can be then counterbalanced and be helped and prevented with other measures, and not necessarily with lowering the insulin per se, because that is creating growth, but rather finding other ways how to decrease the inflammation, which the heightened insulin then will be triggering, among other things. So the 3P of insulin: puberty, pregnancy, perimenopause. And unfortunately, or not unfortunately, gladly, many cancer cells, many cancer types take a long time to really become harmful. Ideally, I mean, we're always growing cancer cells, and our body is so good and adapt that it can just eliminate these cancer cells and not have them to continue growing. And it's possibly easier to eliminate a small bundle of cancer cells instead of a big blob of cancer cells. That's just much more work. It's easy to have a slice of chocolate cake or a slice of cheese instead of that entire bulk. It's much more difficult to break that down, and likely it's just as much more difficult to break down a big tumor instead of just one tiny little cell. And as many tumors take a long time to grow, not all of them, unfortunately, but many tumors do take a long time to grow. My mom was diagnosed with colon cancer when she was in her early 60s, and the tumor had grown so much and was so big that the doctor said, well, that tumor, that's been growing for at least a decade. At least a decade. So she was in her early 50s when her body was no longer capable anymore to keep the tumors at bay and the tumor cells at bay. And there's many women in my environment, many moms of friends in my environment, who have developed death-causing cancers. And cancer can always happen, can even happen to those super healthy, super fit, super young. Cancer can always happen. Yet, as we are entering perimenopause, as we are entering the third P of the 3P, where we are insulin insensitive, and insulin naturally causes cells to grow, that might be a wonderful fertilizing ground for cancer cells to suddenly bloom like spring flowers. And they have always been growing, they've always been blooming, and before we were insulin insensitive, before we entered perimenopause, our body was pretty good at mowing the lawn in a way, or mowing the spring flowers. But now it's not so good at that anymore. It's just not. One is because also the inflammation happens in our blood, happens in our white blood cells, and these are the ones which actually are keeping our system healthy. So if the ones who are keeping our system healthy are not so healthy, how can they perform a task which is so urgently needed? And there's many other correlations and connections. So many inflammatory things happening in our body in perimenopause, together with the input from insulin to grow, and inflammation paired with growth, not the best combination, not the most fun combination, and definitely not a healthy combination. So that could be something I really wish, and I will do more research because I do not know if how there really has been investigations on what could be benefits of heightened insulin levels during perimenopause. How could that actually be beneficial to our body? And yet, why is it not so beneficial? Because we are not growing. I mean, some extra layer of fat for some women could be very good. I would love to have a little bit of more fat, but it's just not happening. Just not happening. Send me chocolate cakes once a week. I will eat them. Or apple crumble cake. I will eat them. But it's not so easy for me to grow my fat cells or to grow per se. So I do not think I'm having this growth issue. But super hypothetically here, maybe as I'm not really growing, my fat cells, my muscle cells, my brain cells, they're better. They can be more. I'm working on that. But as that is not growing so much, where's the growth going to? Maybe to my bones. I don't see that. Maybe my bones do become stronger. That would be lovely. But it could also be that the growth is going to areas which I don't see and where it should not be, like cancer cells. So I hope you found this interesting. The 3P of depression, like the physical changes, period changes, and past history. If you have these 3P, it's likely that your depression, if you are experiencing depression or depressive symptoms, is not caused because suddenly you're depressed, but rather is a symptom of perimenopausal transition. So those are the 3P of depression, and these are the 3P of phases in a woman's life where we are insulin insensitivity. It's puberty, it's pregnancy, and it's perimenopause. And it's super good for the first two. It's not so good, as we know now, but science, please give us more answers and insights and solutions. It's not so good as we know as of now with regard to perimenopause. So 3P, better than 2P. And if you found this interesting, if you find this helpful, if you find that this has sparked some new ideas, questions, or insights, please share those in the comments. I'm super happy to read them. Share with your friends, share with your loved ones, and I'm looking forward to see you next time.